the 5 shifts that will change your life forever. Success is the most addictive force in the world. And once you taste it for real, not just a lucky break, not just a fleeting moment, but the kind of success that comes from discipline, persistence, and momentum, you'll never want to go back. People get addicted to a lot of things: comfort, distraction, excuses, social media likes, Netflix binges. But the one addiction that will transform your entire existence is the addiction to progress, the addiction to growth, the addiction to becoming a person who wins so consistently that winning itself becomes your natural state. I know this not because I read it in a book or watched a documentary, but because I lived it. I built my dream life, a business that earns millions, lifestyle that I once only imagined, not because I was lucky, not because I had connections, but because I decided to make success my lifestyle instead of my goal. And if you're watching this, it means there's a part of you that knows you're capable of more. You're tired of settling. You're tired of waiting. You're tired of watching other people and wondering, you'll ever get your turn. Well, I'm here to tell you, you will, but only if you get addicted to the right thing. So let's talk about how you actually make success your drug of choice. Let's talk about how you can hardwire your brain, your body, and your daily life so that winning is not something you chase. Occasionally, it's something you do automatically. And I'm going to break it down into 5 powerful shifts. Each one will change the way you think, the way you act, and the way you measure yourself. By the end of this, you'll understand why success is not about luck. It's not about feelings. It's not even about talent. It's about building habits, data, momentum, control, and lifestyle. Step 1, winning starts small, but winning creates winners. Every addiction starts with the first hit, right? The first sip, the first smoke, the first taste. Well, success works the same way. You don't need to build a $1 billion bond gene. Get addicted to winning. What you need is a small victory, a win that proves to you that you can actually follow through, that you can keep a promise to yourself, that you can take an intention in your mind and make it real in the physical universe. That first win releases dopamine. It rewires your brain to want more. And here's the thing, dopamine is not just chemical that makes you feel good. It's a signal to your brain that says, do this again, repeat this, keep going. That's why the very first step to getting addicted to success is to deliberately chase a win that you know you can achieve if you put in the work. I'm not talking about climbing Mount Everest tomorrow. I'm talking about picking one area of your life that you know deep down you've been neglecting. Maybe it's your health. Maybe it's your finances. Maybe it's your confidence. Maybe it's your relationships. Whatever it is, you already know where the hole is. You already know what bothers you when you're alone at night thinking about your life. And instead of avoiding that discomfort, you're going to use it. You're going to pick that one area and you're going to define what a massive win in the next 30 days looks like. For some of you, it might mean going to the gym every day for a month. For others, it might mean waking up an hour earlier and reading instead of scrolling. For someone else, it might mean learning a sales skill that could double your income. The size of the win doesn't matter as much as the consistency of the win. Because here's what most people miss. You don't need to change everything overnight. You need to create evidence that you're a person can win. Once you start stacking those wins, something incredible happens. You stop doubting yourself. You stop needing external validation. You start trusting yourself. And trusting yourself is the foundation of everything. When I started my business, I struggled with discipline. I said I was going to do things, and then I didn't. I told myself I'd wake up early, but I hit snooze. I told myself I'd make sales calls, but I found excuses. And I realized something. This wasn't about talent or intelligence. This was about the habit of keeping promises to myself. So I created a system. I made sure that every single day, my team and I had a meeting that forced accountability. We called it our team meeting. Same time, same agenda, every single day. And guess what? That simple routine turned into thousands of wins stacked on top of each other. Wins in communication, wins in alignment, wins in execution. 6 years later, that one habit is still alive and has transformed not just me, but thousands of business owners I've worked with, The point is, winning is a habit. Unfortunately, so is losing. And if you don't consciously create the habit of winning, you'll unconsciously create the habit of losing. So here's the challenge. What's your first win? Where are you going to start? Because until you get that first taste, you won't understand how powerful this addiction really is. Step 2, data never lies. Feelings. Now let's talk about the second shift, data. This is where most people get stuck because we live in a world that glorifies feelings. Do what feels right. Follow your passion. Trust your gut. Listen, I'm not saying feelings are useless. I'm saying feelings are unreliable. One day you feel motivated. The next day you don't. One day you feel like you're crushing it. The next day you feel like a fraud. But data doesn't care how you feel. Data doesn't wake up tired. Data doesn't get offended. Data doesn't lie. If you want to become addicted to success, you have to get addicted to data. You have to measure your progress. You have to track the numbers that actually matter in your life because success is not an emotion. It's a measurement. It's proof that you've turned intention into reality. If you want to know if you're successful in fitness, you don't ask yourself how you feel. You look at your body fat percentage, your weight, your strength, your endurance. If you want to know if you're successful in business, you don't ask yourself, you're proud. You look at revenue, profit, customers, retention. If you want to know if you're successful in relationships, you don't just say, I think we're fine. You ask, are we spending quality time? Are we supporting each other's goals? Are we growing together or drifting apart? I've seen too many people cling to environments, friendships, or habits that are not serving them simply because of feelings, that they're my friends. But I feel guilty leaving, but it feels comfortable. Meanwhile, the data is screaming at them that they're stuck, they're unhappy, and they're not growing. Let me tell you something. The right decision is almost always visible in the data. If the environment you're in is not producing results, it's the wrong environment, period. If your numbers are flat or declining, you're making the wrong decisions, period. It's black and white. It's not about emotion. It's about evidence. In business, this principle is everything. A company's stats are nothing more than the sum of its team's decisions. If revenue is growing, the team is solving growth-oriented problems. If revenue is flat, the team is spending time on distractions, drama, or busy work. If revenue is declining, the team is actively making poor decisions. It's that simple, and it's same life. Your life right now is a reflection of the decisions you've been making up to this point. Your income, your health, your relationships, they're all data. If you want to change the outcome, you have to change the input. So here's your challenge. Pick the numbers that matter most in your life and start tracking them daily. Don't let a week go by without measuring, because when you face the data, you can no longer hide behind excuses. You can no longer pretend you either did the work or you didn't. You're either winning or you're not. And the moment you start measuring consistently, success becomes pivotal. Step 3, momentum is the cheat code to discipline. Here's where the addiction starts to cement itself. Once you get your first win and once you start tracking data, you build momentum. And momentum, my friend, is the secret sauce. It's the cheat code. It's the invisible force that makes discipline 10 times easier than you ever imagined. People often ask me, how do you stay so disciplined? How do you stay so consistent? And I tell them it wasn't discipline that kept me going. It was momentum. You see, discipline is hard when you're standing still. Discipline is hard when you're at the bottom of the hill, looking up, wondering if the climb is worth it. That's when your brain comes up with every excuse in the book. You're tired. You'll start tomorrow. You've already failed so many times. What's the point? That's the hardest part. But once you push towards those first brutal days, once you start seeing even the smallest results, the weight begins to shift. The hill doesn't feel as steep. Your brain stops fighting you, and that's momentum. Momentum is like gravity working in your favor. Once you've built enough of it, it pulls you forward. Think about riding a bike. The hardest part is the first few pedals. You're wobbled. You're unstable. You're wondering if you're about to fall. But once you pick up speed, you can practically coast. That's what success feels like when you commit long enough to build momentum. Now, here's the real magic. Momentum doesn't just make it easier for you, it drags other people into your orbit. Once you start showing up consistently, people around you start to notice. They either level up with you or they fall away. And if you're smart, you'll intentionally surround yourself with people who already have momentum in the areas you want to grow, want to get in shape, hang out with people who hit the gym every day. Why? Because their momentum will drag you forward. You can't be around them without feeling pulled to do the same. I remember when I first started waking up at 5 a.m. for workouts. It was brutal. Every morning was a negotiation with myself. Do I really need this? Maybe I'll just sick today. But then I started training with people who didn't even flinch at waking up at 5 a.m. To them, it wasn't hard. It was normal. Suddenly, it became normal for me too. Their momentum became my momentum. And that's when I realized that the best trap you can set for yourself is to trap yourself in environments where success is the only option. As a business owner, this principle is even more powerful. When you hire people, you're not just adding hands to do work, you're building accountability. If you have a team of 10, don't just have 10 employees. You have 10 reasons to show up, 10 reasons to be disciplined, 10 reasons to fight for growth. And once your team builds momentum, it becomes harder to stop than to keep going. That's why I always say trap yourself with successful habits and trap yourself with successful people. Trap yourself with successful systems, because once you're locked in, only outcome left is success. But here's the warning: momentum works both ways. Negative momentum is just as powerful as positive momentum. Skip one workout, and it's easy to skip another. Miss one sales call, and suddenly you've missed a week. Negative momentum drags you just as hard as positive momentum pulls you. That's why you need to be hyper aware of what feeding. Every action you take is feeding one type of momentum. So ask yourself daily, am I feeding momentum that pulls me towards success? Or am I feeding momentum that drags me back into mediocrity? The hardest part is starting. The easiest part is staying in motion. So stop negotiating with yourself at the starting line. Just start. Push through the wobble, push through awkwardness, push through the self-doubt. Once momentum kicks in, you'll look back and laugh at how hard it felt in the beginning. Step 4, control is the ultimate high. Now let's talk about one of my favorite subjects, control. This is where people start to misunderstand success because society has painted control as a dirty word. Oh, you're a control freak. Oh, you're a micromanager. People make it sound like wanting control is a flaw. Let me be crystal clear. It's not a flaw. It's a superpower. Control is the ultimate high. And if you don't believe me, think about the opposite. Think about the areas of your life where you feel out of control. How does it feel when you're waiting on someone else to make decisions that affect you? How does it feel when you're hoping for things to work out? Instead of knowing, how does it feel when you're crossing your fingers that your boss gives you a raise instead of being in control of your own income? It feels awful. It feels powerless. And that's exactly why control is one of the most addictive, powerful forces in life. I want control of everything that matters to me: my health, my business, my relationships, my time, my money. And no, that doesn't mean I want to control other people. It means I want to control my outcomes. I want to take responsibility for what happens in my life, because the moment I give up control, I also give up results. Let's be real. Most people don't want control because control comes with responsibility. If you're in control of your income, you can't blame your boss. If you're in control of your health, you can't blame fast food. If you're in control of your relationships, you can't blame your partner for not meeting your needs. You have to speak up. You have to act. You have to do the work. Responsibility is heavy. But you know what's heavier? Regret. So let me reframe it for you. Control is freedom. The more control you take, the freer you become. When you control your time, you're free to use it how you want. When you control your money, you're free to live how you want. When you control your health, you're free to move how you want. Control's not about suffocating. It's about liberated. And once you experience the freedom that comes from real control, you'll never want to go back to hoping, wishing, or waiting. Think about this. Every successful person you admire has one thing in common. They took control. They didn't wait for permission. They didn't wait for someone to hand them an opportunity. They created it. They built it. They demanded it. And then they worked for it. That's why they're where they are. And if you want to be there too, you have to stop apologizing for wanting control. Own it, demand it, chase it, because control is the ultimate high. Step 5, success is a lifestyle, not a destination. And finally, let's talk about the 5th shift, the one that ties it all together. Success is not a destination. Success is not a finish line. Success is not something you achieve once and then sit back and relax. Success is a lifestyle. It's a way of living. It's a duty. One of my favorite quotes from Grant Cardone is this: "It is your duty to become successful." Let that sink in. Your duty, not your dream, not your hobby, not your optional side targets. Your duty. Why? Because success is not just about you. It's about every person who ever believed in you. It's about every person who doubted you. It's about every person who's watching you right now, whether you know it or not, hoping you'll become the proof that they can do it too. Think about it. If you had a rough childhood, if you faced hardship after hardship, you have an even greater responsibility to succeed, because if you can make it out, you give hope. Everyone's still stuck in it. And if you had a supportive childhood, if you had people who believed in you, then you have a responsibility to honor that by creating even more success and passing it forward. Either way, it's your duty. When you start living success as a lifestyle, everything changes. You stop asking, when will I arrive? And you start asking, how can I keep growing? You stop treating success and start treating it like oxygen. You don't win once and quit. You win every day. You win in your habits. You win in your relationships. You win in your business. And the more you win, the more natural it becomes. Here's the truth. People are watching you right now. People you know and people you don't know yet. There are 15-year-olds who need to see you succeed. There are 30-year-olds who need to see you succeed. There are 70-year-olds who need to see you succeed. They just don't know your name yet, but one day they will. And when they hear your story, when they see what you've built, they will draw strength from it. That's why success is not selfish. Success is service. Success is leadership. Success is light in a dark world. And if you ever doubt that, think about the people you look up to. What had quit? What if they had decided it was too hard? What if they had decided success didn't matter? Your life would be darker without their example. So don't you dare believe the lie. That success doesn't matter. It matters more than almost anything. Because when you succeed, you don't just change your life. You change lives you'll never even know about. So here's the recap. Success is not luck. Success is not feelings. Success is not talent. Success is 5 things. It starts with a small win, because winning creates the habit of winning. It gets fueled by data, because data never lies, while feelings do. It becomes easier through momentum, because momentum is the cheat code that makes discipline effortless. Becomes addictive through control, because control is the ultimate high and the foundation of freedom. And finally, it becomes permanent when you treat it as a lifestyle, not a destination. That's how you get addicted to success. That's how you change your life forever. And that's how you become the example that someone else needs to believe in themselves. So if you've been watching this and you feel that fire inside, don't waste it. Don't just sit here consuming. Turn off the video, close the tab, and take one action right now that puts you the path. Create your first win. Track your first number. Build your first momentum. Take your first control and start living success as your lifestyle. Because once you taste it, once you really taste it, you'll never want to go back.